Good afternoon, everyone. Assalamu alaikum. Hola. Guten Tag. And for all my friends who are watching me in India, Namaste. Namaskar. For my family, Jai Shri Krishna, because they are up there watching in live streaming. And for all other languages that I don't know of, my apologies. That doesn't mean I know these languages, I just know how to greet. So yeah, today as a Rotary Peace Fellow from India, I will be presenting on social entrepreneurship, a tool for conflict mitigation. Currently, as a Rotary Peace Fellow, I was pursuing Masters, or I am still pursuing Masters in Social Work at UNC School of Social Work. Yay! Yeah, but equally yay for Duke, because I'm in a joint program, and I'm going to speak with you about this topic. The agenda for today is going to be, I will be telling you first of all about my applied field experience, which I did over the summer, which was split into two. Then I will go to what is the approach to conflict mitigation that I'm going to take, and I'm going to give an example, and then a slight comment of how we all could participate in that. So I did my applied field experience split into two this summer as part of my Rotary program. The first half was with the Grameen Bank in Dhaka, Bangladesh, and the second half was with the Central Tibetan Administration, that is Administration of His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama in Dharamshala, India. This was when I was in Dhaka, Bangladesh, with Professor Yunus, who is the Nobel Peace Prize winner for 2006. I kind of put up this picture a bit to show off. But a major part of it was, I had two opportunities to interact with Professor Yunus last year. And during my internship with Grameen Bank in Dhaka, Bangladesh, I kind of studied the functioning of Grameen Bank, what they do, how they do it, and also had one more opportunity to interact with him, his staff, and some local people. And more often than not, when they came to know that I was a peace and conflict resolution person, a simple question that came back was, to get peace, why don't you get the three basic things in place? Food, clothing, and shelter. Let's go to the second slide. Again, I'm showing off. Yeah. So, actually, he's the one because of whom I'm in this career, and I usually used to start my speech with greetings to His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama, but here, because he's right there, I'm in this field, what I'm doing is all because of him. So anyway, during my meeting with him, and during my several interactions with him and attending his various speeches, he also came to one of the boiling points, which was, where is conflict? Or if you have heard His Holiness speak in any of those speeches, he would say the same thing. It's about the struggle of basic three things: food, clothing, and shelter. Actually, it's like when we look back and kind of look at all this thing, and I was interacting at my lunch with a few people from the field of psychology. It was we were discussing a theory which was Maslow's theory of hierarchy, or Maslow's theory of hierarchy of needs. I would like to spend a minute on this theory. If I go on presenting on this theory, it might just take like the whole presentation, possibly the whole day. But coming to this topic and today, and all my earlier presentations, what Louisa spoke of necessity of habitat, or what Dea spoke of necessity of water, this theory of hierarchy of needs basically puts human needs on 5 levels: physiological, safety, love, esteem, and self-actualization. What I proposed through my whole thing and through my interactions in summer, what I realized was that most of the conflicts in the world, I'm not simplifying conflict, let me clarify, it's not necessarily that every conflict boils down to there, but most of the conflicts in the world boil down to 3 basic needs: food, clothing, and shelter. Recently I was reading a newspaper from India, obviously online, and in Northeast India there's an insurgent group which is struggling to liberate that part separate from India. And the tagline which the newspaper said was, "The Maoist insurgents in Northeast India," it quoted, "The rebels have tapped into the rural poor's growing anger at being left out of the country's economic gains." Again, it boils down to the same thing. The 3 basic things are missing for the rural poor, and they want to get into some violent reaction to liberate themselves. Why I'm going to that again and again and again and again is what I'm going to come to in my next point. So, actually linking back my internship and this assumption, when I was working with Grameen Bank and when I was working with the Dalai Lama, one thing which came up was the issues of women and women trafficking. A lot of women trafficking takes place from Bangladesh to India, India to Pakistan, and further to Middle East. Same happens from Nepal, and same happens with the Tibetan community. Now, if you look at it as a conflict, why women's issues? Here are some statistics for you. Problem of commercial sex trade, that is illegal prostitution. Statistics are right up there. It's the world's third largest organized crime, and all those numbers put up there. To make it more grounded for all of us who are sitting in this auditorium, I cannot quote the professor, unfortunately, or fortunately I didn't take the permission if I was allowed to quote the name of the professor, but I got statistical data of North Carolina. Every month, 26 women are brought illegally into North Carolina for prostitution. It's just the whole issue that I'm trying to deal with. I hope you understand that I'm trying to nail it down to one point, that when we are dealing with larger conflicts, it's about kind of sectorizing every conflict and coming to one small point, one at a time. So for my master's project, I decided to concentrate upon commercial sex trade and how we could work on it and use social entrepreneurship as a tool to mitigate conflict at that level. I'm just going to leave you for a moment with next slide, and then I would like to proceed further. So this gives you the major issue of commercial sex trade or commercial flesh trade or trafficking. My proposition, through my internships, what I learned, and through this opportunity at School of Social Work, I realized if you used economic tools to empower people and bring them together, development would be more sustainable, communities would be built much better, and possibly you could mitigate conflict at the grassroots itself. As we saw in the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, if you strengthen the base of the pyramid, where I'm concentrating, you can build the pyramid much stronger and not create issues at a top level. So, what I'm working on actually. The project I propose here is Sareelution, Sarees and Solution, an evolution of a solution through sarees. If you have met Indians, and if there are any Indians here, and if you've met Indian women, like one Rotarian described yesterday, the long cloak that drapes around the woman in India. That's what a saree is. The cloak which goes 6 yard, not 6 yard, I don't know what it's come, but the women drapes around. Since my childhood, the way I grew up, I saw about 50 to 60% women around me wearing sarees. Please don't try to Google that statistics, they are nowhere. It's just what I saw around me, my mom and her sisters who wore sarees. I saw my mom usually disposing of 2 to 3 sarees every year. Imagine a population of 1 billion, of which 50% women, of which 50% wearing sarees, and disposing of at least 2 sarees every year. We have 50 million sarees being disposed of every year. Could we bring those and use those for some empowerment tools? That's what we decided to try out with self-help groups mechanism. With that small red dot you can see is the city of Pune, which is about 3 hours drive from Bombay. So Pune and Sangli is where we decided to design a project to help women from the red light area to rehabilitate and reintegrate themselves in mainstream society. The idea, the concept you can see which I elaborated. So the concept is basically based on triple bottom line approach to create a sustainable enterprise. And what is it? What is triple bottom line approach? Again, another topic in itself for a whole presentation, but to nail it down, you start anything or you approach anything with 3 substantial points. One is economic vitality, second, social development, or here I have put healthy communities, and third, environmental protection. Quite a few of you, I might have interacted earlier, I used to speak only of environmental protection. This approach here gave me to look at the other 2 aspects. And how we are going to look at this project of Sareelution. Let me get you. So the whole idea of Saree Bags was to create self-help groups of women where we would bring those sarees collected from middle-class women collected in schools, bring it to these women who are ready to help themselves. Majorly the project is aimed at women who wish to rehabilitate themselves from the commercial sex trade, bring them together, manufacture bags out of it, and use those bags to market and get the funds back to these women. The bags would serve another purpose. We'll see what 3 purposes this project serves. The first, in reality, the economic vitality of the project. Before I proceed, I would like to draw, I don't know if she's not very clearly visible, but there's this lady sitting right in between. She's my main inspiration. She's the one who drove me to do this project, and I assume she's seeing this presentation. I would like to thank her. Thank you, Latatai, for seeing this. It's all because of you. So she's been the mentor. This is basically a traditional art in India where old ladies or grandmoms would do it for their grandchildren. What we tried to do was extrapolate that and take it further to the women who needed it. So here you can see women being trained to stitch bags. I would like to spend a minute telling you a small story of Rekha and Shobha, the two girls here. Before we get into confidentiality, I do have their permission to share, rather they sent their email to ask me to share this story. They both are daughters of a commercial sex worker from a small region in India, Sangli. When both of them heard that we were trying to develop this program, and this program is completely being developed within the last 3 months, so it's a part of my Rotary program, they approached us and said that we don't want to get into our mom's trade. Our mom doesn't want us to fall in her footsteps. Can you help us train this? They might look underage. Yes, they are underage. Someone might pick up a question of child labor. It's a completely different issue. In development, you have to usually compromise as to what you're trying to do. We'll address it later. But anyway, so these two girls came to us, and luckily, I can fortunately claim that we have been able to save them getting into that cycle and help us make the bags. We can see that, economic vitality. Second is healthy communities. By any chance, if you have observed the Hindu and Muslim communities in India, very specifically, they're very typically dressed. The lady in the blue is a Hindu, the one in the orange or green who doesn't have a red spot on her forehead is a Muslim. You can see how women are being bridged together by economic bonding, economic relations, and the communities are being brought together. At the same time here, you can see a small girl, a safe place where you can take your kids along. Kids are not separated from you. The risk of kids being abducted or any issues with kids lowered down. And here you can see the healthy community. And the third and the major aspect, these bags tackle environmental issues. Considering my time constraints, I will not go into a small story I had. But majorly in United States, more so when we go for shopping, we know how many carry bags we carry with us when we come back from Food Line or any other food store. Imagine if we could reduce that number and use another bag to do that. So, when we speak of these bags, I would actually like to take a minute to show you what I'm speaking with you about. As we carry a handkerchief in our pocket, this is a small bag which we carry in our pocket. And while I show you this bag, let me take the pride to declare officially launching this project in the United States. Before you walk out, please don't forget to pick up a bag for yourself. Open the bag. It's a small packet. Once you open the bag, there will be a small note inside which will give you the detail of who's manufactured this bag, how it's manufactured, and a link to an online web address. If you could fill a small survey and let us know how you like this bag so that we could help those women help themselves. I launched this project officially and I would like to show you the bag when it opens up. It looks like this. As you can see the bag in your reality, I don't think I need to finally show off. But for my Indian friends who are watching in India, yes, he's the former president of India. And there is the Dalai Lama, both of them observing the bags, and both of them literally using it and promoting it wherever they go. Before I conclude the last part, the small thing what His Holiness did when we first gave him this bag as a sample. We gave this bag as a sample to His Holiness. With the Tibetan culture, he accepted the bag in his hand. And we spent a minute telling him the story of the woman who stitched the bag. The next gesture which came from His Holiness was, he touched the bag to his forehead and said, this is a gift from the Mother Goddess. Or this is from the Goddess Mother of mine to me. If you can see a person of that nature getting as attached to this piece of cloth which we can use, which we can very easily carry in our pocket as we can carry our handkerchief, possibly a small piece of cloth can serve millions of purposes. This is just an example. We could use social entrepreneurship tool anywhere and everywhere we can go. So I thank you all for the opportunity. And before I conclude, I owe great thanks to everyone in this auditorium. If I start naming everyone, it might just go on for the next 2-3 days. All those who have been instrumental not only in shaping me, but this project, this program. My host parents who are here, or my Rotary faculty, Rotary people, all you Rotarians, and everyone back home, I love you guys. Thank you for all your